now go and decrease it. But I guess if I looked at those, maybe those two I guess my concern, I have concern with all three of those, but I think we've done the least at the high school to reduce class sizes, and I just don't want to see class sizes close to 30 at the elementary school level. And I really do, we have reduced class sizes at the high school, but there still are a lot of classes in that 30 range,
Yeah.
not only in electives, but in core courses. When you have I know there's at least one French class where there's 29 or 30 kids. How can you teach a foreign language to 29 or 30 kids? I think that's possible, but I don't think that's anywhere near ideal. So cutting more teachers at the high school just really concerns me. But I don't know what to ask you. I think that is, if you could, I know you've already said you set the priorities with level 1 and level 2, but if you could somehow take this level 2.
We're going to make every effort to shift positions or people around to fill vacancies that are created because of retirements or when people leave. So the potential unemployment costs, we have whittled that down in a number of cases where we know someone is retiring or leaving.
How does that work? Do you have to put that money up front, or will you get quarterly billings?
Monthly. North Reading does, years ago, I guess someone made a decision in this community not to buy insurance. You have a choice on employment. You can either buy insurance or you can be self-funding. So we are a self-funding community. So we pay dollar for dollar every penny that an unemployed individual receives. We just pay for it. So you get billed monthly, just like a bill.
By the
like
state?
Yeah,
Oh.
just like a bill from the hardware store.
Wow.
Simple as that. And for example, when President Obama extended unemployment benefits,
That means we have to add more money.
we do. The federal government pays part of those extensions. The state pays part of those extensions, but because we're self-funding, we pay most of them.
So our employer contributions still not pooled, so you don't have a balance?
No, to my knowledge, I have to check this with the treasurer, I don't believe we make any payroll deductions for unemployment. We do for many other things,
Right.
Medicare, obviously taxing, but
Well,
I
it
don't.
must be the insurance piece, because I know I do, on my
Yeah.
payroll for my company.
Yeah.
We have a pool, we just laid someone off without the need to increase our contribution.
Right. They probably have insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do not have an insurance policy for this. And I think in the long run, that's the best way to go. But just for example, some towns are self-funding for medical insurance. The town of Reading does not have they are self-funding for their health insurance. They do not have this Maya negotiation or Blue Cross or GIC. They are totally self-supporting.
So they just go out and find their own plan?
Yes, well, they don't. No, they pay the bill. They pay the bill.
So they collect a certain amount from employees based on historic usage,
pattern.
and then
I think they have a consultant that helps
Sure.
them make estimations.
and then they just have a pot of money that they pay the bills as they.
Yeah.
So when we lay off an employee and we're accounting for that unemployment cost, but we're adding back fringe benefits, what do unemployed staff members do for health insurance then?
They have an opportunity to continue their benefits on something called OBRA. That is an expensive proposition because it largely means that they are paying 100% of the cost.
It just means they're eligible to be in the.
Right, they're eligible to stay in our plan,
In
but
the
they have to
plan.
pay.
But they pay, so we don't
102 is an administrative cost.
Right,
any
right.
of that.
No,
Oh,
it's the same as in private, I mean, that's the
In
same
these
as in
cases,
private.
if somebody gets laid off, we're certainly gonna save the fringe benefits. We may not have to pay the unemployment, depending on what they do. And if people leave, if we lose people to attrition.
But we
We'll say-
factored
He's already
that
factored,
in.
he's already factored in the
That
attrition.
number, the 281,600, is going down these positions in level 2 and determining which is
Which would really be a real
Right.
layoff, yeah.
because the replacement attrition isn't gonna be up.
Yeah.
So I think based on the discussion tonight, based on what kind of discussions we have at our forum the next 2 weeks, we have 2 public forums, and then we have finance planning on Friday, we should be able to, well, actually, we're still not gonna be able to have enough numbers to vote on a really buttoned down budget on the 9th, but
For instance, one of the strategies is for the town to pay off the snow and ice deficit this year with revenues. And it's certainly, you know, a good idea to pay those debts, because if you don't, it comes off the top of the state receipts next year. Is this the year to do that? I'm starting to think.
I think they are, I think that's the plan. There's a bunch of accounts that have miscellaneous accounts that have been sitting around that have money in them, and I think they're gonna use those accounts to try to pay off the snow and ice deficit, depending on how large it gets.
So we don't get the hit next year, but what
Right.
if next year's stimulus money comes through and it's a better year to do that? Some of that money was that energy reserve fund. It was funded at about $150,000.
Right,
But we don't need any of it.
right,
But the general government needs about half of it.
right. They said that may be lower, but we don't need any of it.
We don't, so some of that might go to pay off a snow and ice deficit. I don't,
I guess the reasoning is, what if it's a worse year next year?
Right.
right.
But the bottom,
It's kind of like our lunch deficit account, you know.
I think their thinking on that is that if they can pay for this year's snow and ice deficit out of this year's,
some money from somewhere.
someone from somewheres,
Right.
then it increases the free cash available
Next year,
on
correct.
July 1
Right.
For
whatever.
whatever.
Well,
Kinda
for
like trying to
October,
purchase
we know what
supplies at the
happens
Right,
in
end of the
right,
fiscal
October.
year.
right, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, we restrain.
But the bottom line is, on
Spend.
March 9th, we're gonna have to make a decision as to whether, we'll know by March 9th what our available revenues are at that time. Again, stimulus might be up in the air, room and meals tax is probably gonna be up in the air. I think Chapter 70 is what it is, unless we get more from stimulus. We're gonna either have to approve a budget that fits within the number we have, or we're gonna have to approve a budget that requires an override. And we don't have, correct?
Well,
But those are our 2 choices on that night.
It doesn't necessarily
Well,
require
no,
an
at
override.
that
It depends
time
on
it
how
would. Right.
town meeting addresses the budget. I mean,
Right.
you
But
know,
we're gonna have to either approve a budget
Unless
that's.
we exceed the entire 100% of the available revenue,
Well,
Right.
that's
which
what.
we haven't done that yet.
I
but-
mean, if there is some questions or ideas we can bring to the finance planning team, we certainly will, because there is a philosophy that goes into reducing the revenues till you get to the split. And we're told this is up 66%.
So that's why I'm saying
We
it,
accept
But
that.
nobody tells you, except the town meeting.
Right.
What your budget is. That's what tells you ultimately. Now, I have no problems if we're negotiating with the town side to work something out.
which is what, right. So if we're starting with a figure of 22,681,490, right, which is the number the town's given us, plus the 12,000 fringe benefits add back, we can go from there and then start adding in, just say, for instance, we add in, okay, 5, 6, 7, that's 450,000, so our budget's now up to 23,131,000, and we can go, that's the budget we can approve, and we can say, either we need to work with the town to find that money,
Mhm.
or we have to have an override, or more money comes in.
Or we hope
Right.
that revenue.
So there's 3
improves.
options.
Yeah.
The more money comes from, the split is changed, more money comes in, or we
Or
have to ask.
transfer from reserve funds.
Transfer for reserve funds, or last gasp, and I don't think I would support this, but would be an override.
Or we can approve a budget consistent with the revenue we have on March 9th, and then amend it at town meeting, depending on what the
Right.
figures are then.
Right, right.
I just wish we had more capital, more things in the budget that you could hold
that's a-
off till October.
Well, that's
but we
the thing, there
took
is
them all
no
out
capital.
last year.
You've already done that.
Right.
We took it out
Right
last
here,
year.
you've already done that.
I know. I'd rather say, let's go with the full
Already done that.
contingent of staff, but there's nothing left.
And you know, I know I come off as a complainer, and I know that puts some people off, but I really don't care, because My son had a basketball practice last night at the middle school, and that floor is, you dribble on that floor, and there's some really soft spots.
Home court advantage. Don't
Then there's some
complain
little
about that.
hills.
Home court
We-
It's like
advantage.
the old garden.
We don't have top-notch facilities in this town. And I guess I'm tired of it, and we continue to put off the capital plans. We do an amazing job with Wayne Hardicke's staff in maintaining these buildings, but we add nothing. Oh, wait, we've added about 20, I was gonna say trailers. We've added 20 mobile classrooms, which actually are better in many cases than the classrooms that we have,
Don't
because they're
use
air
tra-
conditioned.
don't say the word
No, I know,
trailers.
that's
The
why.
modular
The only
classroom,
trailer,
not-
Rex trailer would be okay to talk about, you know, but,
Okay. I'd
Not
like
trailers.
textbooks, look at number 10, eliminate
Right.
textbooks. We cut out textbooks and we're a school department.
We don't need no stinking textbooks.
And now,
And
we're
it-
gonna
It's not
charge
like we're
late,
selling the ones we have.
it just really gets frustrating.
we're cutting out textbooks and technology and shutting down the library.
That is kind
Well,
of.
we're a school department. What do we need those things for? I just don't
But we're gonna
understand.
make $10,000 for everybody who pays their
Right,
bus
bus
fee
fee
late.
late.
These same people,
That's you,
like the
Carl.
rest of us, that are
Who can't-
struggling in this economy,
Hey, all we should do is give them the wrong date.
Think
We
of the,
can
think of
double-
the penalties,
We can
maybe
double,
20,
we
30
can double the late fees.
if you read the recap sheet, the only revenue that's going up in this town are fees, because people are having a hard time paying their water, their excise tax,
Jerry,
foreclosures.
I like to think of it as a discount for people who pay early.
Okay.
There you go. But it's not, we're not discounting the bus fee, right?
But there are, you know, there are no more ideas on where we can cut. Because we don't have extravagances in this town, in this system.
No. We've got the heat lowered, we're saving kilowatts, there's nothing left.
There's nothing left,
Look at the shelves, all back there are empty. It's nothing.
and I'm not running in April, in fact, nobody is, but I'm not.
We'll
Right
save
now.
lots of money, won't we?
Right.
On our big salary.
Can we have a charter change to have a 3-member school committee if no one takes out papers?
At least for one more year, then we done with
Right, then we'll all be gone. Cliff, we'll have a 1-member committee with Cliff after next year.
You wouldn't like it.
So, come to our meetings tomorrow at 9:30
Yep,
at the middle school large group room, and is it the 3rd
Yes,
at 7 o'clock, is it? I forget,
I think
7.
so.
7 o'clock.
9:30 in the morning.
It's a public forum, yeah,
I can make it.
I'll be there also. I'm gonna be here all day. Athletic
Oh, yeah,
subcommittee,
that's right.
negotiations. I'm just gonna stay here, sit in David's office all
Pack
day.
a sweater.
Pack a sweater, a lunch.
But drive your own car.
Any more questions on the budget? I think we've given David enough input. If anybody wants to, Deanna.
I have a question actually related to the school committee responsibilities, and I'm not asking for my own personal benefit either. Just because it's so important that people come forward. Oh,
Yes.
They,
We can hear you fine.
all those at home.
Oh, yeah.
Deanna Castor, 9 Broadway. Andrew put out a constant contact message today and did about 2 weeks ago, and we're obviously educating the community on opportunities that exist for leadership in this town. And of course, there are 2 school committee positions. What people need to think about, and I'm hoping that you can help educate us tonight, is a 3-year commitment is a huge time commitment. Obviously, you know better than anyone. But can you just highlight what it's like behind the scenes, what the commitment really looks like, so that people could make an informed decision?
It's pure
Want them
hell.
to
I'm telling you,
run.
it's pure hell.
And
No,
we
I was
want
gonna
them
say,
to run.
our biggest issue
fair.
is keeping the superintendent under control.
Listening to the superintendent here is like the tip of the iceberg from behind the scenes.
He's
That's
only-
how much.
But I think it's important for you to paint a picture
No,
of what
that-
that commitment is really like. And then I have another question.
Let me tell you about the commitment.
Okay.
And I,
Tell them about tomorrow. Seriously.
tomorrow's not a normal day, but we have the budget forum in the morning.